Hey everybody, happy Monday movie. And while we're waiting for friends to get on, I am just gonna leave this fun stuff right here for you to drool and ooh and ah over. Hi Carrie, I'm glad you got home safely. How are you doing, girl? So this is what I showed at my first downline retreat that just happened this past weekend, which was a complete blast, by the way. We had lots and lots of fun together and new friendships formed, and it was awesome. Carrie's saying tired. I was tired through yesterday, but I am all caught up today. So good. Hopefully you will get all caught up on your sleep as well. So I'm super excited to show you guys the new die cut embossing machine that Close to My Heart is carrying. I actually like it even more than I expected that I would. And there are a couple really cool features that are totally different than what we've had before. So tonight we're just gonna jump in. Hi, Ginger. Welcome, my friend. Tonight we're just gonna jump in and I'm gonna show you some differences and some similarities between the Cuttlebug, which is the one I'm currently using for my thin cuts and my dry embossing. And then also this brand new machine from Close to My Heart. And I'm just going to show you kind of every inch of it. I'll do a little sample thin cut and embossing so that you can see how the finished product looks. And hopefully by the time the video is over, you guys will really just know everything there is to know about this really incredible machine. So we've just got a couple people on. I'll give everyone a couple more minutes and then I'll jump in. Before I get going, I wanted to show you this super cute card. That is my new addiction. So I shared this and my club members got to make it at club this morning. So this was created using Cricut Design Space. Hi, Randa. And all of this is by Close to My Heart. So all of our images. So we've got these beautiful pumpkins, this hello. I just trimmed this little banner. And the only extra thing that I added to it was I took my paprika stamp pad because this is the paprika new cardstock color from Close to My Heart. And I took a sponge dauber and I just sponged a little bit of ink along the edges. And then I did a really quick swipe right here where the folds of the pumpkin would be. And I just think it turned out super precious. So I was kind of teaching, especially a couple of my new ladies to stamping, just how easy it is to personalize a plain flat image by adding some ink to the corners. So I will share that file with you guys in case anyone would like to make some really quick cards for fall. So let's go ahead and get started. Now you guys can see I have the Cuttlebug and I have our new die cut embossing machine side by side. They're about the same width, okay? So if you're thinking about where you're storing yours and what the spacing is, they're about the same width. The new machine, you can't really tell from this angle, but it is about an inch higher. So it's like that much higher than the Cuttlebug, if that's what you're using. Now, if you look at these side by side, I'm not sure if you can tell this either, but they are, this one is wider and it's wider by a couple of inches. So this one is a little bit wider machine. Just keep that in mind for your storage. So let's talk about this machine. So first of all, one of the differences is this side is for your handle, okay? And your handle comes separately and it's stored inside the machine. And I'll show you how to do that. And then I'll show you exactly how to attach it as well. So once you get this, you're gonna see just like the Cuttlebug and other die cut machines, you're gonna take the edges and pull them out. And that's how it's going to open up, okay? So what you're gonna do is pull them out, lay it flat, and then you can see there's a little bit of a gap here. I hope you can see that. And this is also, once you lock that down, it'll also lock this in place and suction it to your work surface. So that's the same as the Cuttlebug. There is a little bit of a gap here, and all you need to do is press these in, and this will lock those into place, okay? So then this is not going to come up. Now here's a couple things that are kind of cool about this. First of all, these are not just the fold down like the little table for your plates and everything to go through. There's also storage in it on both sides. So I can lift this up and I have a storage compartment here, and I can lift this side up, and I have a storage compartment here. So that might be nice for, first of all, this is where your handle is stored. So you can just set that right in there, close it and lock it. And any other small little things, if you wanted to tote some things with you, you've got space for it. So that's kind of handy. The other thing that I want you guys to know is that, I'll close that side up, you are going to get a instruction sheet that comes with it on our new machine. And this is actually really cool because it really spells out and talks you through how to use it. It talks about the dials, the rollers, how to suction it, open, close it, just what I talked to you about. Here's another thing that I will show you. So when you open this up, you're going to see, I'll pull it up a little bit closer, that this actually does even more functions than our current like Cuttlebug would do. And it'll spell out exactly what it is you can do. So you can use it for cutting dies like our thin cuts, doing cutting embossing combo for those products that match. And there are products out there on the market, your customers might have some, for the steel ruled dies, which are some of the old school ones. Some of you guys probably have some of those too. For a 2D embossing folder and 3D embossing folder. Hi, Debbie. So if you're not really sure what the difference between these two things are, we carry the 2D embossing folder. And the difference between these two is that the 3D actually has different widths of grooves so that when you run your stuff through it, you get different variations. So it's a totally different embossing folder. We don't have that, so you don't have to worry about that. This also will work with texture plates and letterpress plates. So if you or any of your customers have any of those things already that we don't offer, this new machine will work for all of those, which is awesome. Now you're going to notice that I circled A and I circled D. So we use this for cutting for our thin cuts and for our 2D embossing folders. These are really the only two things we need to worry about as consultants for the products that we have we can teach with. So I went ahead and circled them just to remember that. So let me show you a couple other things that are really cool. On the Cuttlebug, so what we had before is you had like your thick plate at the bottom, and then you put your paper on it, and then you have your like an A plate, and there's a B plate, there's a C plate. You've got all these different plates, and you have to interchange those. One of them's an adapter plate, and you would use that for part of the time, but not part of the time. And so this is what's really cool about this. If you look at this, we don't have an adapter plate that we need for these two functions. So we have a standard platform at the bottom, and I'm going to show you these in a minute. Standard platform at the bottom. Okay, so we're starting with the base. That's the same. At the top, we have the cutting mat here, and at the top, we have a cutting mat here. And then in between, we just have our die cut and the paper, our embossing folder and the paper. So you're using the exact same two materials without having to add in an adapter plate or anything else. So that part's nice because it's really easy to remember. Okay, and I'll pull those out and show you those in a minute. So let me show you one of the biggest differences here. And I will go ahead and I folded this in half, and I'm just going to leave this in here for reference so that I have this on one side and I've got my handle on the other side, and I will plug that in just a minute. So let me pull this up and turn it around. And here's the biggest difference. When you look at this side, you are going to see at the top that we have a dial here that we can turn based on whatever it is that we are going to do with our machine. So we have an option for 3D embossing, so you won't have to use that, at least now, because we don't have any of those products. This one is for letterpress, which we don't have, but it's also for 2D embossing, which we do have. This is for our current embossing folders. And then if you want to die cut or use our thin cuts, you just want to push it to this one. So these two dials are what we are going to use. So this part is what's really, really awesome about it. You guys know that sometimes you've been playing with a product, whether it's a thin cut or embossing folder, and you're just not getting a good enough impression or a deep enough cut. So we've been told to put in shims or a couple extra sheets of cardstock and just kind of play with it. This was what's really cool about this. We now at the bottom have this little press and twist where we can kind of adjust that thickness until we get exactly the way that we want. So this side is if it's we need it more loose, this side if we need it more tight. I went ahead and just left this right in the center for everything that I'm about to show you, and everything worked great. But it is nice that we have that flexibility. Now, if we wanted to turn this, it wouldn't turn. You do have to press it and twist it. So we have to push it in, and then we can turn that dial. Okay, but if I just try to turn it, it won't. And I think that's good because you won't accidentally bump it if you're working, or if it knocks on something and messes that up. You actually have to physically move that to change that. Okay, so we've got this the die cut, and the embossing. And you just flip that based on whatever it is that you want to do. So let's go ahead and pull out our crank. So let's pull this open. Remember, we have that gap there and we want to lock it in place. We just push it to the center. I'm going to open this up and, oh, wrong side. And I'm going to take out my crank. Now, this is what's also interesting about this, and I'll flip it around to show you. The previous Cuttlebug, this actually just kind of tucked inside. This doesn't tuck inside anywhere. That's why we need to have it removable. But here's what's so great about this. This just slides right on. Now, if I went like this and I just pushed it on there, it would come right off. But this has a way to actually lock it in place. So we've got this little locking mechanism. So this has a lock feature. This shows an unlock. So right now it's locked and I can't get it on. All you need to do is hold onto this and pull it down. Can you guys see? Let me try to do this with my nails so you can see that. And it wants to just automatically go up and lock by itself, which is also great because then once you have this on, this is not going to go anywhere. So to put this on, all we've got to do is we're going to pull this down to the unlock position, hold it in place, and then slide this on and then let go. Can you hear that lock? So now it's locked into place and this is not going to come off. And then when we're ready to take this off to store it, we've just got to hit that unlock button and pull it off. So it's really, really easy to add that and take it off. And again, this crank works both ways, just like all of your other systems, okay? So let me go ahead and put it at a little bit of an angle so you can kind of see this a little bit better. Now, here's what else is cool about this. This does have the Close to My Heart logo on it. Isn't that beautiful? Right now, this is only available as a Hostess gift item, and I'm not really sure all the reasonings for that. I've been out of pocket for the last few days, so if Close to My Heart has put a little video out or something, I have not seen it. But right now, it's not available for all customers. You do have to be a hostess. However, the cool thing is that once you hit the bare minimum $150 in sales for this to count, for your order to count as a hostess gathering, it will basically unlock the option for your hostess to purchase this. And that goes for us as consultants. You would need to have a party where you are the hostess, and as soon as it gets to $150, it'll unlock that, and you can buy this for $99, okay? That's not a bad price for all the things this does. It's actually pretty reasonable. I love this machine. I like it even more than I thought that I would. So let's go ahead and get started a little bit. I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to open this up, press it to lock it into place, and now it's good and sturdy and it's not going anywhere. So let me show you the pieces that come with this. So you get your base platform, and this is just like what the Cuttlebug was before, that really thick bottom base plate, okay? But here's what's cool about this. It'll tell you exactly what this is. They've done a great job of this. This is your platform to start with, and it's 6 inches by 13 inches. So this is significantly taller and longer than the one we're used to using. I'm crossing my fingers that this is so big because maybe in the future we will have embossing folders or thin cuts that will be 12 inches long that we can use to run this through with a 12-inch sheet of paper. So cross your fingers. That's just what I'm thinking, is that maybe that's why this is so long, to accommodate those larger products. The other thing that you have, and remember we saw these on the guide or the workshop instructions, or the product instructions, is we have the cutting mat. This is also 6 by 13, so it's the exact same size as that platform, okay? And this will tell you exactly everything you need to know. The front and back can be used interchangeably, so they're the same material front and back. It does tell you that you need to change where you put your die or your thin cut if you're going to do it multiple times in the same place. You can kind of spread this out, and you've got a lot of surface to go ahead and do that with. What else is really cool about this is, you guys know, if you've seen my previous videos before and talking about thin cuts and showing that this is actually, it's a little bit spongy. It's a very firm material, but it does have a little bit of a sponge to it. And this is actually what is going to be doing the cutting with your thin cuts. Before, we had those plastic sheets, and you guys know, if you used them the way the manufacturer told you to, that when you slide it through, it just has that cracking sound. Well, you know me, I don't know, for whatever reason, I just can't handle that sound. And so I always did mine upside down so that when I put my sharp side, it just went right into my mat. And I tried this here. You can probably see that design on here. And it really just kind of does the exact same thing as the other one. Even though that says it's not a cutting surface, it will be okay because, again, that's really thick and it's not going to do too much. But You can use it the way it's intended because you're not going to hear that cracking sound because this is a totally different material, which is really, really awesome. And then the other plate that comes in, there's 3. So you get the platform, you get the cutting mat, and then you get this adapter. The only thing you're going to use this adapter for is for using the steel ruled dies. We don't have that. So for right now, this is a product you can set aside because you don't have a need to use this for our embossing or our thin cuts. The only things that you need are these 2, which is incredible. So let's do a little quick demonstration here. I've pulled out one of our embossing folders. This is an old one we had that's just super cute. And I just put in a little scrap piece of paper just to show you how this works. So we are going to place that inside our folder. We're going to put our platform first, according to those instructions we saw. And then this goes in the center. Whatever it is that we're doing, whether we're using the thin cuts or the embossing, it goes in between. So it's like the center of our sandwich. Platform on the bottom, cutting mat on the top. So then once we've done that, line up your edges. And then remember, we are doing embossing. So we need to make sure that on this side, right now this is on thin cuts. We don't want it on thin cuts. We want to turn it straight up so that it is on the 2D embossing. And when you get this, I would encourage you to kind of put your hand underneath this and flip this because you'll actually feel that the rollers move a little bit. There's some movement there as it adjusts for the product that you're going to use it for. So I'm now facing up. I've got my 2D embossing, so I'm going to roll this in here, and it will roll in very smoothly. Okay, now I'm going to run into the wall, so I'm just going to go ahead and go back so that I can pull this out. But if I didn't have the wall there, I could just keep rolling it right through. You don't have to go back and forth, twice to get that. I only ran it through once, and I got a really great impression. So then when I open this up, you are going to see, there we go, that I've got this really beautiful, nicely etched design that's dry embossed. And I can use the raised side or I can use the debossed side, depending on what my project is. But can you see how clean and sharp that is? That was easy. I didn't need to do anything else. I didn't even need to change that dial. It's perfect just as is. So let's do the exact same thing. Remember, we start with our platform. And then this time I'm going to take one of our thin cuts. This is one of my favorites from that really beautiful floral set. And what we're going to do is we are going to place our thin cut straight up. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do it like they would normally tell you to because this is not a cutting surface, even though I did try it both ways and the image looked exactly the same. Okay. So what we're going to do is just place the paper on top of it. Either way you do it, the paper needs to be touching the raised, sharper side. And then we're going to place this on top. Okay, so that it's sandwiched in the middle. Now remember, we're doing a different activity, so we need to change this handle. Right now we're on the embossing. We need to change it to the thin cut, okay, or the die cut. Then once we've done that, we can take this, run that through as well. It's so smooth. This is much smoother than even using my Cuttlebug was. So I really, really like that. And I'm just going to go backwards, not because you have to, but just because I can't get it out because I have a wall there. But remember, you don't have to do this twice. Even with your thin cuts, you can just do it once and it will roll through really nicely. Okay. Now you can see that this came out really, really nicely. And you've got this really gorgeous design. And it's perfect. There's not anything else that you need to do or change. It just looks really beautiful. So when you look at this cutting mat, you are going to see, if you look really, really closely, you can see a little bit of that image that's etched in. But you know what? It's not bad. And it's not like you're working with that cloudy, clear surface that eventually just gets super messed up. Hi, Deb. Because this, it's a little more forgiving. You've got a little bit of a sponge. It's got a super firm center, but you've got a little bit of a sponge to it. And as long as you kind of change where you put that, I think this thing will last a long time. Now, I am hoping that eventually this is going to make it into our full product line. Again, if there was a video about it and I haven't seen it because I've not been around, then I will watch and catch up. But I'm hoping that this is just kind of an introduction and that eventually this will move over to our product line, which would make more sense so that everyone could be able to purchase this. So I'm excited to hear a little bit more from close to my heart about that. So again, remember that the main differences are we have less things to worry about. We don't have an A, a B, a C adapter plate or anything like that. You only have a platform and a cutting mat, and it will work with both things you're trying to do, whether you're embossing or using thin cuts. We do have the same feature where this will lock into place. In fact, this locks even more sturdy than my Cuttlebug does, because every once in a while it would shift around. This thing is not moving. Love that. You also have on your rolling bar where everything comes through, this opens up on both sides. So I put my instructions on one side, and my crank handle I'll put on the other side. And remember, your crank handle, when you're ready to store it, you can leave it on, but if you need to compact it, because this does add another, 4 inches or so, all you've got to do is pull this up, and that'll slide right off. And then this we can open up, and we can put on this side. And then you've got it nicely stored. Okay? And then to go ahead and put it away, we need to pull these straight out to unlock it. And then we are going to lift it up and close it into place. And we've got that the same great handle, and everything else about it is wonderful. Okay, so hopefully this gives you a really good overview of this. Again, you don't need this adapter. We can put that away, because that's not something, if you have that out, you might forget and wonder, why do I have that? What do I need it for? Put it away, but do keep your instructions with you in case you have any questions about it later. So hopefully you guys will invest in this. I totally, after using it, think that it's absolutely worth the $99, and I already have the Cuttlebug, but I purchased it because I wanted to see it and teach with it, and I'm glad that I did. I think it was a really good investment. Okay, so if you guys have already purchased this, I'd love to hear your comments and your feedback and your thoughts. If you have questions about it, that's something I didn't address here, please feel free to ask, and I will answer as many questions as I have. And we'll be watching for more training and information from close to my heart. And just know that I think this is an awesome addition to our product line. So have a great night. And if you're watching this live, thank you guys for being here. If you jumped on and I didn't see you and welcome you, I apologize. I was engrossed in doing this. And if you're watching this as a replay later, thank you guys so much for just jumping on and taking the time to watch this and learn all about this, okay? So thank you guys so much. Oh, Julie's saying, love, love, love this. Girl, I love, love, love. Thanks so much for sharing it. It will be on my next hostess order, which is awesome. Now, also remember, if you aren't putting an order for yourself and you're doing it for your hostess and they don't want to take advantage of it, you could probably still do that and buy it for yourself if they're kind of just leaving it on the table and not going to purchase it. But this is something I would absolutely start showing. This is going to be a really cool tool that our customers have. Hopefully this will become part of our active product line soon, because it really is a cool product. Thanks, guys, and have a great night. Bye-bye.